because I'm going to need to show my husband because he'll understand.
No problem. So the two things, or the three things I'll show you that I'm using that is quite effective and clients seem to love the interaction. The first is how OBS Studio works. And you can set that up pretty basically. You can then I'll let her in as well. And you can do a little bit of fancier stuff if you use a Stream Deck. And I'll show you what a Stream Deck looks like and how that works. They're pretty fun. They're not super expensive. And it's actually, you can use it for a bunch of things, different things. And then I'll show you how I use Mentimeter in Zoom to get that engagement up with the audience a little bit. And you'll be able to have a play and test that out as well and see what that looks like. So look, I'll jump on in and get started. This is what it allows you to do when you set it up this way. So here are my slides. Essentially, from here, I can pretty easily control my slides with a clicker. So from here, I can just sort of click through my slides as I need to. And it's, well, if I turn my clicker on, I can. And it gives you full control. And so I like to stand up and present. I'm sure like many of you like to stand up and present. So it allows you to sort of get that stand up, present, still control your slides. Once you've got different views in OBS Studio, I'll bring up this one as my favorite, my daughter vomiting on herself. But once you've got these different scenes set up in OBS, it also means that when you want to come back to full screen, you can come back to full screen. When you want to just show the slide, you can just show the slide. If you want to really unpack sort of a bit of a model or a framework, I do a lot of models and frameworks. I can be this little box in the corner, and then we can talk to the model and framework. And I've also built a side-by-side. You see a lot of people do the side-by-side, so you can see the slides better. Obviously, it depends on what type of slide you're presenting, but it gives you that control. And in each of those views, you can still click forward and back as much as you like. So the way that works, let me bring up OBS and I'll share my screen, and this should work okay for you. Yeah, I'll just share screen one. Now, hopefully you can all see, again, it looks like me still in there as the little head there. I'm just going to bring you guys up as a set of boxes as well so I can see. And if there's any questions, just throw them out. Nelly, in Teams, it works exactly the same way. So everything's exactly the same in Teams as it is in Zoom, because essentially what we're doing is the feed going into Zoom is a virtual camera. It's a virtual webcam. So it's this is OBS Studio looking at now. You should be able to see my mouse. And so OBS Studio is a pretty complicated little beast, but it's relatively easy to use. And the best thing is, I found, lots of gamers who stream their games use this OBS Studio setup. So there are millions of YouTube videos on how to set it up and how to use it. And they range from basic to more complex. So what you do in OBS Studio is you can see down the bottom here these scenes. What we're basically doing is setting up these different scenes, and these different scenes are able to have different sort of images and pieces on them. So in this particular scene, which I call main speaker, I just have my Logicam, my webcam coming through as the source, and that's pretty much it. But look, you can zoom it in, you can change this, you can put filters over the top of this, this different scene. The next scene I've got is, again, my webcam, and then a window capture. And so the window capture just picks up a PowerPoint, any open PowerPoint presentation slide that's on the screen, it picks that up and feeds it in. And then I can move this around. I'll move it around too much, I'm going to spoil my scenes. You can move these around, you can resize them, you can put it wherever you like, and get it just how you want it. As I said, I've built a side by side. This one is again that window capture, so the same input, the window capture here that's picking up that PowerPoint show, plus the same webcam capture that we're using before, just resized. And in this one, I've actually put a background in, which is just an image. And so for any scene, you just go in here and go add, and you can add different types of inputs. In this case, it's just an image. You drop that in, resize it, obviously put it to the back, pull the others to the front, all those sorts of things. But then once that's set up, it's locked in place. This is a Zoom one that's a bit different. I do have one which is that small circle. This was actually, Marty Wilson showed me this one. This was actually a bit harder to put together than some of the others. I had to do some YouTubing.
Just about to clean the bathroom now.
Oh, hang on, I'm just going to mute you, Matt. Sorry. This is a bit harder, and I'll show you how to do it in a second. But again, it's very easy if you wanted to have a little square down the bottom rather than a circle to just do exactly the same thing. So that one would just be, again, your image here, your webcam here, and then your slide at the top, that window capture slide. So window capture is really handy because you can choose basically any of the windows that's open, or you pick the presentation, open presentation. Anytime you open a presentation, it pops up. I've also got another one, which is for when I have a green screen. And green screen's sort of funny. I use another program called ManyCam for my green screens. If you want to do green screens, it's probably a whole other topic to go through. But the only other thing I'd say is with this little circle, you actually have to create a separate circle that takes a bit of technical work to pull together. Again, YouTube's probably better to explain that than I am. I can't even remember how I did it. I've got another scene which is just full slide. So you just want to have your slide. You don't want to be in the road. This is really great for breaks if you're doing workshops. So I'll have a break slide, and you just put this up. It's on the screen. You don't have to, do anything else. Basically, it's just that that hold, and then as soon as I want to come back, I come back to here, and I can start to play along again. So once you set up these scenes, you've got that ability to have different views. And if I just wanted to not use much tech, and you just wanted to be able to present your slides with this sort of virtual screen in the background overlaid, it's just one scene you set up, which is this one, window capture, which is my PowerPoint slide, and my webcam input. And then all you do is when you go into Zoom, I might just stop sharing. If you go into Zoom, what happens is where you've got the video, start, stop video, little up arrow.
Yeah.
What you'll get in that, can I share this? Maybe I can. Maybe I can't. I don't think you can actually share what I'm doing on Zoom. Anyway, when you have your up arrow, it'll have a list of your webcams, obviously. An OBS virtual camera is just one of those cameras. Okay. So you just choose that as your camera input. And so Zoom is taking in the input coming from OBS. And the only tiny thing I didn't say, which is not particularly hard to work out, but when you're in OBS Studio, you have to start your virtual camera for it to be a virtual camera. And that took a little bit of, sometimes you open Zoom and it stops your camera working and stuff. Just start OBS, start a virtual camera, open up Zoom, choose OBS, and it's all good to go. OBS is also helpful because you can then record videos directly in here. So if you're doing videos and you want to record a video that looks like this, OBS will do it all straight away. It's free to download and super easy to use as a camera. As I said, it takes a little bit of fiddling to set up your scenes, but once you've set them up, they're set and forget. Yeah, you don't.
Hey,
really have
Dan, can I ask a question, mate? It's Anthony here. Hey, so what I loved about the first bit when you started was the seamless transition between the different shots. Not that you're going to do that every 2 seconds, but it's very good. So are you just, and I noticed, well, you've stopped sharing now, but you were just doing that from the control on the bottom left, right, the bottom left of your OBS screen. Is that right?
No, and that's the next bit of tech that makes it easy, because to do that you basically have to go in and keep clicking on the different scenes, right?
Yeah.
So the second thing I use is called a Stream Deck. So Stream Deck, some people have seen them, you might use them. They're really cool, easy to use. Buy them on Amazon, a couple $100. I got the 3x5. They make a smaller one and they make a bigger one. You know, I found 3x5s heaps in terms of the buttons. So a bit hard to see because of the light and the reflection, but essentially this is a small control panel that just USBs into the back of my computer. And someone did ask, I'm on a PC, if that helps. And is it different to a Mac? No idea, I don't touch Macs. But yeah, I'm sure, again, there's lots of YouTubes on it. So what this little device does is it basically is a bunch of shortcuts. But the shortcuts are specific to different programs. And what I'll try and do, say try because it may or may not work, is share. Here we go. Let me share this. This is the Stream Deck control. So once you've got your little device, your actual Stream Deck device, which just sits next to my mouse, you then have to program it for those different views. And so it actually integrates really well with OBS Studio. And in OBS Studio, literally all you need to do is go, okay, I want to have this button as a scene. I click on that and yes, sure, I'll replace it. And then it'll say, great, which scene out of OBS do you want? OBS is open, it's running. You just go, okay, this one will be circle head, for example. And now if I click on that button on the actual Stream Deck, you see here, now that's circle head, which is a strange view, but you get the idea. And so Stream Deck allows you to basically control those views by just pressing the buttons on here. You can see I can just flick straight between them, super easy, just by pressing these buttons. Cool thing as well with Zoom is it's got a Zoom integration. You might be able to see here, which means you can set up buttons to mute, to mute and unmute yourself, to mute every participant or unmute every participant, to record. So if you want to record the session, stop recording the session, you press a button on the Stream Deck. It's, you know, not hugely important, I don't think, but it's pretty easy to set those up. And you know, that sort of makes it a bit easier. The other cool thing with Stream Deck, if I show you the second screen, is here's a bunch of programs I use regularly or websites I use regularly. If I want to go into them, this is sort of a second screen on my Stream Deck that you can flick between. If I want to open up OneNote, I just press the OneNote button. When I open up PowerPoint, I press the PowerPoint button. And again, how useful that is, how much of a shortcut is, I don't know. It's a bit, you know, maybe a bit overkill, but I use it quite a lot just to speed things up for me. So Stream Deck is pretty cool. As I said, it's super easy to set up. It's a bit of fun. You can customize the images that sit in these little boxes. You can write whatever you want in those little boxes. I try and keep it as simple as possible. But once you start to get to know it, you don't even think. You just sort of, you know, again, you just flick between your different views and it all happens pretty seamlessly. So that's how you make that transition look really neat and tidy. And sort of makes it easy for you to control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? It's Kieran here. Did you have to download any extra overlays, or was it you know, to do those. So you've got the webcam and window capture, etc. Was it only using OBS, or did you need any extra overlays? Or because there's just like this barrage of stuff that, you know, once you download it, it's like you need this, you need this, you need this, and I was like, ah, overwhelmed.
Yeah, no, and there are a couple of times I thought I did, and I there's always a simpler way, and so I don't know why they have all of those complex things. As I said, the only one that was a bit trickier was this one, to be honest, and that's because creating a circle for your head is not as easy as it seems. But you can create scenes and put scenes inside scenes, and it, as I said, it's a little bit more complexity, but depending on what you want to use it for, you don't need much of that, to be honest. And Ellie said OBS for PC only. Okay. Okay, I'm
No,
not
I've
sure.
got a Mac. I've got a Mac. I
Okay.
downloaded it,
Yeah, cool.
but I haven't used it yet.
And like I said, the beauty is that there's so many YouTube videos of how to use this stuff and how to set it up. Because gamers use it where they'll actually have them playing a game on one side, and then, you know, a green screen of their head sitting there playing it, talking. They'll have different audio coming in at different scenes. There's all sorts of cool stuff that you can use it for. Steve, you put your hand up. I know.
Yeah, mate. I do a lot of instructional videos.
Yeah.
So I use things like Loom and Cloud App, you know, when you put the little face in the bottom and you're showing how to use stuff.
Yeah.
So the way I'm looking at this is I could just, rather than just stream a live video, I could use this instead, because it'll give me a lot more flexibility. At the moment, you get this little head down the bottom, this little round head, which doesn't allow you to cut into a full screen, then cut out of it and go to a full screen video. Anthony's nodding his head. You know what I'm talking about.
Totally. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And so,
sure.
if you want to have that view, that small space view, you can. You can still share your screen, of course, but it means that from an audience perspective, they pin you, or I think you can spotlight yourself as well. So if I spotlight myself for everyone, then I'm big on everyone's screen. It's just coming through the feed. It's easy for me to undo that and you know, have that control. I can talk to you when I want to talk to you, and go back to the slides when I want to go back to the slides. It sort of gives you a lot of that flexibility, and you know, you can move through different views without too much effort, right? As an example, and I'll show you how I use that Mentimeter integration. So let's say we're talking through and I go, I want to engage you. Here's an image. If you could click on, get your phone out, point it at the screen. Let's do it, because it'll help me test this a little bit more as well. Yeah. So you should be able to do it. And look, if it's not big enough, I can just make it bigger straight away, right? There you go. The beauty of QR codes is that everyone in the world knows how to use them all of a sudden. And no, I'm not in front of a green screen. This is my usual background, but you can use it with a green screen, works just as well. All right, so everyone should have done that. And I'll come back to here. Now, what we're going to do is basically, this is a way I get some engagement in my teams, is I might say, okay, what are you missing the most? I'm going to share Mentimeter, so you should be able to now go in there and say, what are you missing the most? And as you're doing that, everyone's missing traveling. As you start to write things in, it'll come up on the screen dynamically. And I see we have a common topic here, going to the movies, fantastic. And people can pop those things in straight away. Everyone can see it on the shared screen. I'm still in the background, you can see me. And then once that's sort of run its course, we just stop sharing, we come back, and we can sort of keep talking about you know, the rest of my slides. I can get back into the presentation. There's another example here. I do, you know, how you're going to show up. And so again, in Mentimeter, I just go to my next screen. Oh, you know, where are we? Yeah, I'll go to my next one here. You'll get another question pop up on your phone. And again, this time you can type in different inputs there. If you haven't got the slides, you can click on my image and see the little QR code again. Again, this should dynamically come up on the screen for us. There we go. Clothes, that's useful. Virtually beautiful. And you can see this allows us to have a bit of engagement. People see what's coming up, particularly when you've got 200 plus audience. You know, this is a really good way of getting people feeling like they're part of it a bit more. And so Mentimeter is helpful. It also does things, and I'll show you one where you can vote. So is square A darker than square B? Should come straight up on your phone. You can vote whether A is darker, B is darker. And I can come back to being a. Not sure if that one's working. Here we go. People are voting now. And yeah, they are. If you haven't seen this before, they are actually the same color, which is quite annoying to lots of people.
Got a typo on that page there, Daniel.
Oh, do I?
You square A up the top there.
I do too. Awesome. Thank you. I'll fix that as well. So yeah, Mentimeter is quite easy to use. There's an app in Zoom that I use to share it. You could just as easily have it on a web page and share the screen, I guess. Don't know, but it's pretty easy to use straight in the apps in Zoom. So you can do that as well. Nothing to do with OBS, of course, but it's just a nice integration or engagement tool if you're speaking to people. Any other questions? Paid or free Mentimeter? I've got the paid version. I don't know how much. It's not super expensive. The letter were the same. Yeah, the letters were the same color. That's true, Jill. I'll reword that question. I usually have a slide that goes with it. I'll explain it a bit more. I don't know what level I paid for. Probably the smallest one, Anelli. I'm not sure 100% how much it was, to be honest. But I just figured it's something I'd looked at in the past. I'd actually thought about it for like live events, because you can use it for live events. It's just a bit harder because you're not controlling the tech the same way, right, in a live event. Whereas because it's on Zoom, you can control the tech really simply, and I found that much more useful.
Can you share those slides? I reckon you could probably share that screen in your OBS, couldn't you? Instead of having to share a screen. Yeah,
probably. That's a good call. I'll work on it actually, because that would be a lot easier. And yeah, this is the sort of stuff. Once you get into OBS, there's so many different things you can do. I don't have the green screen, but I would usually put a green screen across here. And then I can put different backgrounds on there using ManyCam and all that sort of stuff as well. So there's lots of different options in that sort of space. But yeah, I'm going to write myself a note. Yeah, thank you. Any other questions?
Mate, for a novice, you did a bloody good job.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Thank you very much, buddy.
Well, look, and as I said, I saw Marty Wilson did a video just showing the different views, and I just sort of did a bit of Googling and sorted it out. But it's well worth it. I think it's worth it just for that, like just to be able to have my slides there. As I said, when I was trying to, I think like you, Kieran, I was trying to put a screen behind me, and you get light reflections, and it's, you also don't see what's there. Whereas because I've got the window capture, I can see my presenter view of my slides. So I can see what slides coming up next. I can see my notes if I want to. I can see it. It's just right there on the screen in front of me. Obviously, I use two screens. I'm sure most people use at least two. So again, it gives me a lot of visibility. Using this for live Zoom sessions. Yeah, live Zoom sessions, Jill, all the time for live Zoom sessions. And so the last couple of weeks, I haven't, but it's basically done any presentations with screen sharing. they've all been just presenting through this sort of style.
And Daniel, can you tell us about how reliable you found it integrating with other tech, for example, Teams and Zoom? Are you confident that every time you rock up, it's going to do what you expect it to do? Or have you had to backtrack and go back to a basic version?
I haven't. So I've done a number of big workshops, sort of 3-hour workshops on Teams using this. Has never had a problem at all. Teams is very similar, right? You just spotlighting. It has the only difference in Teams really is that you only see a certain number of people on the gallery view in front of you, but that's it. There's not much other problem there. The other cool thing is because I'm not sharing my screen, I get full gallery view. I can get my big screen's got as many faces and stuff on there, so I can see many more of you. Than when you're sort of screen sharing, it's a little bit different, right? You're taking up some real estate with your slides. So I've had no issues with it on Zoom, no issues with it on Teams. I haven't tried it much on like WebEx. Not many people use WebEx though. But look, anytime it's asking for a webcam input, as long as you can select OBS, it works. There is an old version of WebEx that I'm doing a little bit of work for Westpac on. It doesn't take OBS as an input, but they're not it's not a big problem because we're presenting in a very different way there to their stuff. So yeah. Any other questions, thoughts, ideas? I love that idea.
Yeah, I was just watching it. I thought that's just another input. I reckon you can make it.
Totally.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, this side view, I'd seen a couple of people who do this sort of side-by-side views. They built themselves side-by-side, and I just thought it looked sort of neat for that midway between presenting and getting the detail of the slide up there. Particularly, if I'm thinking of a model or a framework, something like this, for example, where I want to be able to unpack it a little bit, and it's going to have a bit more, I've got a bit more real estate now to be able to show that. It helps with presenting models because in this view, it's a bit small. Yeah. Obviously, you can go to this view and really dive into it. And as I said, this view is good for breaks, but I think this is a good intermediate one to flick to. And like the HR type people, the events type people in corporates who even doing a like a pre-discussion or a prep meeting with, you start to show it and they like lean in and go, hey, how are you doing now? What's going on?
And have you ever used anything like Miro boards and then use the same thing? I think Miro board would work like it's an online facilitator sort of tool. And I think it would work like Mentimeter in that it's a web browser.
Yep.
So if you just made that a screen or whatever you're calling it, theme.
Yep.
And then you could show it on I'm pointing to you. You can't tell. You would put it next to you. Like that. You would put it next to you like that. And then you could see everyone's sticky notes coming on and stuff like that.
100%. I think, like I said, I've really not been playing with it as much, but yeah, you could basically put, let me just go back to OBS and I'll share my screen again. But yeah, I think without breaking it too much, or let's just start a new one.
Yeah, I reckon you do a new one because then that one's for PowerPoint and then this would be for other inputs.
Yeah, so I go window capture. Okay, let me just do me first. Video capture device. I've got one set up already. Logicam. Ta-da, there I am. And again, I can just resize that, move it around. You can do a whole bunch of things with it as well. I can like crop it, all that sort of stuff. And then I could chuck in, let me open a Miro board first. Actually, let's do your idea, Kieran. Okay, I can go add window capture. I'll put a new one in web page. Actually, I think there's a web page on here. Browser. Here we go. Add a browser and no, haven't done browser before. You've thrown me out of my depth already. I told you I was a novice.
Sure, there's a way.
I'm sure there's a way. Window capture should work. Go there. There we go. That's capturing that text box. If I just
Oh,
go
that's cool. So you could do the comments as they
yeah,
come through.
could put that up. Is it that one? There we go. Just like that.
Woo! Good job.
So yeah, you should be able to, type things in. It'll come up straight on the screen. Again, I can position that wherever I want. Move it around and present it that way. With this one, I'd probably do, like I said, if you wanted to do a small version of yourself, so you want to still be on the screen, big version of the slide. Maybe just bring me forward. Go that way. Oh. There we go. So now I could be on the screen still as a little head. Probably want to zoom in a bit or something. There's my, this way, there's my stuff up there,
Oh,
and it'll come up on the screen. So yeah, like that's how, once you get in there, how easy it is to start setting it up. And this will be my Mentimeter share. Now I'll just go into Stream Deck, create that as a new button. Then it'll be all ready to go. So that when we go into that part of the presentation, I'll be able to just click on that. I'll do it now because I can, and then show you how easy that is. OBS Studio, scene. Let's put it there. This will be my Mentimeter. Okay, so now I'm going to stop sharing. So I'll come back here, it'll be my slides. All right, so I'm back in my slides. I can go through my slides as I like. Here we go. Clicking through my slides, etc. And then if I want to bring that Mentimeter up, I press that and go straight to Mentimeter. So there's no other clicks now. And all I'll need to do is, and on my side, make sure I can control Mentimeter. I can jump through to the next screen, for example. On Mentimeter, how you show up, there's your inputs. You'd go and answer, it'll all come up dynamically. And when I want to come back to the slides, I come back to the slides. So like it's super easy to put together.
It's really professional, mate. It takes that clunkiness out, the transitioning. And you know, the biggest thing that I've learned, like you said, you did a 3-hour session the other day. It doesn't matter how good your slide looks. And I've learned this too. It doesn't matter how good a presenter you are or how much you move or an animated or whatever. If you can shift the dynamic every 15 minutes even or whatever,
Totally.
and then different view here, and that's enough because it's like a dance, you know what I mean? So that it's really good for that. I never realized the capability of this stuff. This is
and look, if you just really want to talk to the audience, just get into a Q&A. You can, get rid of the slides, get rid of the distraction. You don't have to stop sharing. The whole screen doesn't move around. And then you can come back to it. All right, let's go to a break.
Yeah.
We have our break, come back. It's pretty easy. Jill, can you have 2 camera inputs? Sure. I'm pretty sure you could have 15 if you got 15 cameras. I haven't bothered setting up any second cameras at the moment, but like there's an integrated webcam in one of my computers that I'm sure I could set up. You could have one from over here. So, you have that, if you're filming, if you want to record a cool video, you could have multiple videos, inputs, just again, press between them. In OBS, all you have to do is just add different camera sources. So for me, I just use the one webcam, but you could have 5, I guess, as many as you want. I don't see why not. You probably
That's
ran
right.
out of USB ports more than anything.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Annalie, you were saying that I've got a Mac as well. I think it was you, Annalie, that said, is it Ecamm as opposed to Stream Deck as the potential input switches, Steve? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it used to be that OBS was only PC, but I think it is now available for Mac and PC. And Ecamm was the alternative to OBS on Mac.
Stream Deck.
It was not
It's not
Stream Deck,
alternative to Stream
OBS.
Deck.
OBS.
So this is the Stream Deck. So that should work with just about anything. I don't
Right.
know why. it
Okay.
wouldn't.
That works with Ecamm and OBS.
Yep.
Because they're the first level and that's the second level. But Ecamm is not free. OBS is free. That's why it's powerful and finicky and open source, and you can learn all about it on YouTube. But Ecamm is, from what I believe, easier and simpler and quicker, but you're paying for it. You're paying for the quick setup and all that sort of stuff. So if you do the work, you should be able to replicate it through OBS.
Yeah, but
If
there's no.
Dan can do it, we'll be fine.
Say again, Steve.
If Dan can do it, we'll be fine with the free version.
Exactly right, mate. Exactly right.
I've got Ecamm. I know you use it too, don't you, Annalie?
I've bought it.
I use it. I just find it a little bit fiddly. That's all. Like I haven't quite seen the versatility, but maybe I don't know how to use it properly. Like with the little
Interesting.
picture in picture.
It's supposed to be, from what I heard, it was supposed to be easier and quicker and sort of it arrived a little bit more preloaded. You didn't have to set up and create as much stuff in the background. But this is just what I've heard. I haven't played with them. I have both. I have not played with either yet.
Yeah. The other thing I was just going to say is that last week at the New South Wales one, I don't know if anyone was there, saw Dale Beaumont, and Andy in his studio was using lots of video, like, as in, so that might be an idea, Daniel, for the middle, rather than just a static image, you could have sort of preloaded little moving GIFs or something, just to give a bit of movement. I guess
Yeah,
that'd be a slide as well.
Yeah, that's right. And like, I'll show you an example. When I want to show a video, I don't often show a lot. This one, and because of that, I don't know about sound. So I'll preface by saying I don't know if the sound will actually work. But if I wanted to show this video, which I'm sure some of you would have seen before, it's going to come up. Okay, my video is not working. That's a good start. But essentially, you could show a video, and if you wanted to just show the video, you just go to full screen and show the video. Good to know that's not working now before I get into that session next week. But yeah, so you've got a lot of different options in how you want to set up the view and work through it that way. It works quite well.
With that video, Dan, just quickly, I remember early days, like a year and a half ago, of Zoom, just trying to show a video from like a PowerPoint deck or a Keynote deck, and it stopped and started, and bandwidth issues, etc. Now Zoom has got the advanced function, right? So you got to go to advanced and then broadcast the video, and it works seamlessly. We showed my mother's 70th birthday video, 45-minute long video across Zoom, and not a glitch on anyone's computer. Yeah, so right. Do you know if via OBS, the video doing it that way that you've explained, is it seamless as well there? Because that's one of the
look, again, I don't use a lot of videos, so I don't know. The one I was using is super simple. So yeah, I don't know 100%.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, Kieran, yeah, you probably could use it on the phone. The reason I went with the Stream Deck, one, I didn't actually know if it would work on my phone, but it's a bit like, I don't know if anyone uses Project to PC. Does anyone you can use a laptop as like a third screen, and basically Windows devices will project to each other, except it's like clunky and drops out. And the last thing I want with my OBS, screen sliding is pressing buttons and it not working. Whereas the hardwired version, it's just seamless. So you can probably use it on the phone. Go for it. Check it out. For me, for $200, I just thought, I'll just make it hardwired, make it never go wrong. Also, I don't know if your phone, like, I'm sure you can set it up so that it won't go to sleep and all those sorts of things. But yeah, this is just an easy way to do it.
Yeah, it's a good one. At least to trial. I might try it on my phone, but then
Yeah, absolutely. And like it's super easy to use the Stream Decks. I really like it.
Have you used it for podcasts? Have you seen the applications in podcasts? Like usually it's face and face and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, well, again, in a podcast, you would have, I guess it depends on how you're getting their input. That would be the question. Like how, if they're giving you if you're getting it through Zoom, I don't know how to capture that. Potentially you could try and set it up so their input is, I don't know, full on your screen or something, and you could use that as an input to OBS.
Yeah, I'll Google it.
But yeah, like theoretically, you could have them there, you here, and then when you want to be just them, you could just press them. When it want to be just you, you click a different side to be just you. You could possibly do that.
That's what I'm thinking, because it makes it more dynamic than just having two talking heads not looking at each other.
Yeah, and this is what, well, this is similar to what a lot of the conference organizers use to have those different views, right? They set up these different scenes, different inputs. You've just got to be able to sort of work out what's the input for each of the different scenes you're putting together, or those different views. And like I said, there's a million different YouTube clips about it, because people get like their Xbox input as one of the inputs, so they can show them playing themselves. You know, there's a whole bunch of things you can do with branding. Just there's YouTubes for years on this thing.
I think that's why it's so refreshing just to hear from you, someone that's a speaker that uses it, because it's so overwhelming how much information's out there. Thank you so much.
I think the thing that I found is you have to know what you want it to look like first. Don't go looking at them for ideas on what it to look like, because then you sort of get lost. So you sort of go, okay, how do I get it? Like, how do I get that? I just want that. And then you sort of plan through on how to get that, and then work from there. OBS Studio doesn't do green screens very well. It actually it's very clunky on green screen. So I actually use a different program called ManyCam for green screens. I don't know if you're familiar with ManyCam. It does green screens really well, and I found that really useful. But if I start that now, it'll be a separate source and it won't work properly. But that allows me to put up, as I said, a green curtain here, put whatever I want in the background on that. So that really helps.
Daniel, can you tell us more about that? Because in my studio, aka spare room, we only have a green screen set up. It's sort of stuck on the wall. So it's either this, which is where I work and live but not present, or my green screen. So would I set up a ManyCam green screen to make it look like yours? Like, hey, this is my regular, I'm just standing here in my office look. While I still do the things to the sides, and does everything work the same except I just got a green screen?
I haven't done enough on that. I can show you. I've got to set it up anyway, so give me 2 minutes. I'll show you what it looks like when I use a different input.
I feel like you're going to come back in a top hat and a magic cape or something.
And Nelly, what's wrong with that bookshelf behind you? What do you need a green screen for?
Nothing. It's a little bit busy. I think it tends to frighten people. It's a good conversation starter. They're very interested in what's going on in the background. It's not good for
focus. Read the books. So there was the lady from the Doherty Institute was on one of the news things this morning, and she was sitting behind a bookshelf. So I'm looking at the TV. What's going on?
The other
she's really into rock and roll.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Music. Yeah.
The vice president of the AMA the other day I was on there talking. He's got a piano in the back and a guitar. I thought, oh, what brand is that? You know, and I'm not listening to him.
Yeah, that's great.
My point exactly. My point exactly.
True.
It depends what the purpose is of the conversation. If it's, you want some rapport builder, icebreaker conversations, this is gold.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, let me just see. Green screen. Yeah, now it might not like this because
919 in New South Wales today, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't looked at
Wow.
that yet.
Hmm,
Oh, brother.
Getting up there.
just give me a few seconds.
We're not
Sorry,
supposed to
team.
watch that number, Anthony.
I know, mate. Yeah, and it's hospitalizations. I know.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I'm not sure why my Manicam's not taking input now, which is annoying.
It's because
just
you're on a
wonder.
call with lots of people. That's
That's
why.
right.
Yeah. But this is my green screen. I actually have my desk goes up and down, so I always present sitting down with this thing. There it comes.
Look at you.
There we go. So the green screen should come on, Manicam. Why aren't you working? Try closing another program. Just hang on the line, and I'll be back in 1 second. And Ellie, I'm going to make you the